Welcome in. We're going to slowly get set and started with our second session today here in the Sandbox. So our next speaker will present an emerging model for impact game education, featuring a micro degree in development and a proposed certification framework connecting universities and educators worldwide. Please welcome JunHee Lee to the talk, Games for Change University, toward a global platform for impact game education.
Thank you. Hi, my name is JunHee Lee. I'm professor at SungKyunKwan University in Seoul, Korea. I'm also representative of the Games for Change Korea. It's been a year. Last year we had a festival held in Seoul in joint program with the Games for Change, and it went very well. And this year we are here as an official chapter for Games for Change. At my school, we are like the first major schools in Korea to introduce a game design program. And of course, I was always interested in impact games, and I intended to put impact game courses in our program. The reason was because, first of all, I mean, for the future leaders of the game industry, they should know what they should be aware of all the social issues that's happening in the world and try to be a part of it. Another one is educating designers on how powerful engagement. That is pretty much everybody, I think, in this event thinks in the same way and say we all realize what a powerful engagement tool it is and how we can utilize to bring people to what our causes are and all those things. And third, as an educator, this is a little bit different, but when I meet students, most of them come to a game program thinking they will make entertainment games. And nothing wrong with that, but the problem is they are all very used to the business model of it. And once you have the business model, how in-app buying and in-app purchases and everything, once you put that into the center of the game, all the games look alike. You cannot teach creativity centered on business model because all the game companies, they spend so much time and all the smart people are developing business models. So if students are into business models and they have that in their mind when they're developing games, then I tell students, you're a student, why are you thinking of business models? But they do, and it's something they grew up with, it's something that they know, so whenever they make games, it's like that. But if you make impact games, you don't have business models, or most of them don't. So you can be a very creative designer. Also, it's a very powerful tool for problem solving, which I think is one of the most important factors for the game designers. They need to be able to solve problems. So this is what I tell students all the time. Don't make games. Because when I throw them a problem, whether it's for the entertainment purpose or for the impact purposes, they start making games first. And they usually come up with games. Sorry. So I tell them to study the problems first, get into the core of the problem, and understand it, study it, and then start making games. Because if you start making games, you're gonna make something that look like it. And if you look for any kind of impact, anything, today we're featuring games that's developed for World Food Program, and without studying, and some of them really did, if you start making games first, it look like some kind of farming games, that that we've seen before, and they will cultivate. So it looked like, it has the flavor of your problem, but it doesn't really get to the center of the problem. So developing courses was one of the biggest challenge, because these are the challenges I had. First one is, did we get to the core of the problem? But the second one is more important. We are talking about the impact that will, impact the players to think in certain ways or have some certain ideas. What if there's no impact because you only had the flavor of it, not getting to the center of it? Or even if you have a negative impact, you get the bad idea about, something that you want to promote and everything. So sometimes it's a very humbling experience, because I'm a game designer. I don't know about the issues of the world. But if I want to teach those things, what do I do? So there are like social issue experts who can introduce the issues, and maybe they can educate and consult, and they could eventually access if we got to the problem right. And there are game designers who will research and study the issues, and they identify what's the core of the system that we can bring it to the game design so that it'll have the right answer to the problem, or at least simulate the problem that you're trying to address, and design the games. And is it just me, or does everybody have problems like that? So I was wondering, and when we were developing games for World Food Program, it's in the arcade, please go and see it. Our students spend a lot of time. They are all looking for approval. But when we were making that, we had the opportunity to speak to Seoul, World Food Program Seoul office. So we constantly talk with them and say, is this what you're doing? Is this what's actually happening? Because if we don't bring their experience into our games, it'll just look very fake, or very, like, as I've been saying, just have the flavor of it, not getting to the center of the problem. But not everybody has the chance to speak to them in person or communicate in constant base. And if you want to teach certain games, sometimes we have to fabricate some kind of problems. But if we can do the real problem, if we can have the real client who wants their problem solved, that is much better for the education of the students. But not everybody has the opportunity. So what do? We need those people who knows about the issues, and we also need game designers. And sometimes some people are really great at both. They studied both, and they're good at both things. But there are so many issues, not everybody can be expert in social issues. So that's where my idea was about, there are teachers, and there are issue experts, and there are game designers. All of them together, where are they? They're all at Games for Change. So when we started the game program about 3 years ago, this is where I came, and I was designing courses, and I had no idea what to do. So I spoke to Susanna about this, and I proposed impact game program for higher education, where the center of everything is that if I design a course, can Games for Change bring their experts on the area and certify it? Say, this one really got to the core of the problem, so you could teach this to students safely, so that if you're good at it, then it'll have the right impact. That was the idea. So this is what I proposed to them, and that's what I've been doing since. And first we started with making courses, but where it got to eventually is the certification platform that is, if I submit courses to Games for Change, they will do the management, but they will be do the peer and expert reviews, and they're certified and share it. So anybody who can access those community of people, they can extract courses, and they could revise it or translate into their own language and put it and teach it. And if they get to teach them and see how it works, and then we could always put it back into the database, and anybody who can, and back and forth, we can keep improving it and have courses of databases of impact games. That will be very difficult to develop on their own, but this is, Games for Change will provide a great platform for that. Anyway, eventually, I want to bring the case of SKKU, that's where I teach. So I started this idea and talked with Susanna, and I started what's called a micro degree. This is what used to be minors. So what happens is that I offer 8 courses. If students take 4 of those courses, then they get the micro degree of certain name. And it's like a minor. They don't have minors anymore. Either they have double majors or they have double majors and a micro degree. So the micro degree in SKKU, the university board, it has to be approved by the university board to become an official degree. And right now it's bit smoky in the names. It's called game-based learning using AI because they had to put AI in there. But we have 9 courses, 2 required and 7 elective courses offered. Micro degree will be awarded upon completing 4 courses. This is for undergraduates. The required courses are capstone game design. That's from Department of Film, Television, and Multimedia. And there's gaming the system from game design program. And there are impact games and social issues, transformation game design, AI-based education, human-AI interaction, and kind of things. Those are elective. So if you take 4 courses of them, then you will have certified official degree. So if we can scale this and maybe have other universities who are interested in having impact games in their program, but probably not enough of that, enough of the man resources or just not the time or resources to develop their own, maybe they can work with Games for Change and create their own courses. And the Games for Change eventually will have enough of those courses in their database so we can share and improve and certify. And those cycles will continue. The problem I eventually ran into was that it takes too damn long because I was developing courses and there are colleagues who are helping, but this was a manual and it was not working very well. But I mean, by next year, we'll have a full courses for the micro degree. But for it to spread to other universities and become feasible options, maybe we need something a little faster. So this is what I was in Kenya this April for the SDG and the Game Summit in Kenya, and I was sitting with my friend Lindsay Grace was here, and we said, what about we adopt like AI model so we can like put knowledge into that and game design impact into that, and maybe we could extract courses from that. And I'm experimenting on that right now, and everybody's experimenting with LLMs, but some has success and some has not, but it looks pretty good right now. So by next year, this time, maybe I can show you something more solid. But we are building a problem-based and the game design-based LLMs so we can bring extract educational courses from there. So the challenge was, it was slow, and we'll be doing a lot of duplicated efforts, and then language and domain costs, those were our challenges, and we're trying to develop a LLM design course design generator, and we'll have the knowledge comments. This is something that that part is what Games for Change can do, because there are so many experts and there are so many people with the issues they want to tackle. We were visiting this Monday. We were visiting the Sesame Studio, and they showed some of the problems that they face in their wonderful educational medium. So that's something that we could also look into, part of make it as a part of the higher education. And then we have human quality control. This is going to be a little difficult in that sense. We need solutions for that. But eventually, if we have enough courses for all these things, that was the vision of having, eventually maybe we could pull out an entire 4-year program for Games for Change and make it into a Games for Change. I mean, we could make online courses, or we could do all these things and eventually have a Games for Change university. The course generator will have the case studies. Those are very important. The experience of the people who are on the field. And if we can bring those things, those into the database, instead of what we were thinking in the May, we had a Games for Change Korea festival, and we had some of the bright minds that I really respect, Lindsay Grace, Eric Zimmerman, and Colleen McLean, and more. And we discussed about this, and some of them showed concerns about their knowledge being without their control, being built into something, generated into something. So we try to move away from specific ideas and or methodologies, but if we put enough of the game element into it, I've seen like earlier science that looks pretty good, and we will try to put as many generic design exercises as possible, and the pedagogical scaffolding, and then when we put that into a trained LLM and generate outputs, I hope we can have something that we can validate by Games for Change experts. Anyway, so this is going to be, maybe not this year, but when we have something more solid, and I have a program running already, an official degree program. When they are in the running, maybe we could interest more people into joining the movement and probably come up with something that we can all share and work together. So this is not a top-down mandate. It's an invitation to co-create a field of impact game programs. Anyway, this is what we are doing right now. So the first picture is of us at the festival. And the top one, it's the Game for World program. This is what the Games for Change Korea is doing right now. And we also had the RightTech. They will have the workshop here as well, the Lego and UNICEF initiative. And also we do a lot of works with the hospitals and healthcare. And then also the last picture is us trying to improve the deprived areas using games and other content. So those are, we've been only here for a year, and the game program has been there for only 3 years, but we're doing a lot of work, and it's paying off. But if we can teach students into more right way of designing games and understanding the issues of the world, I think we can do a lot more with this powerful medium that we call games. Anyway, that's for me. Thank you very much for listening. Is there any questions that I can answer? Yes. Yes, there are micro-credentials that also a separate diploma program. I'm sure there are a lot of ways that you can create your own degree program or certificate programs. Anybody else? Okay, thanks for coming, and go to the arcade and show our students games and other also wonderful games. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.